Hey, it's Kellen.
Tyson here. Of course, AL.
And today we have a guest on the podcast, a Som. That is an expert in wine, Don, all the way from South Africa.
This is Diversified Game.
A podcast giving entrepreneurial advice from a diverse and inclusive perspective with Kellen.
He may agree, he may oppose, and it's more than just race, it's about, ideas.
Tyson.
When you're going against the odds, you've got to be creative, you've got to innovate, you've got to stand out.
And AL.
Focus more on execution and application and less on excuses.
So, let the game begin.
Everybody, welcome Don. I'm just doing sound effects. But...
What up, Don? Don, introduce yourself and tell us about you and your career in being an expert in wine.
Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Dawn Mambalu. Trying to spell that. Cape Townian from South Africa. I work in the wine industry. So basically, I studied a Bachelor of Science, which was in winemaking, which is basically a scientific degree. And I've worked as a wine sommelier in South Africa, and I continue to work as a wine sommelier in South Africa. So basically, my job is to train people on wine, taste all different wines in South Africa, find out all the interesting wines, educate people on wine, and basically just have a relationship with wine. So that's what I do, that's the wine sommelier. It's very French, but we do it in South Africa as well. So my path is basically just training and educating people about wine, and also sharing my wine experiences with people. Very interested in building a school for wine and teaching people more about wine. South Africa is very different from other countries when it comes to wine. In South Africa, wine is something that's seen as, let's say, like, it's not uppity. It's something that's seen as like it's high end.
Wine is seen like a luxury.
Yes, so it's seen as a luxury. And then now in South Africa, politically or economically, you're finding more Black people having more and more money, but there's still not that. It's called new money. It's called nouveau riche in South Africa. So you can afford the wine, but do you know this wine? Can you actually pronounce Pinot Noir? Can you say a Viognier? All of that.
Right.
So my thing is get people to be confident around drinking wine and educating people about wine, and knowing that wine can't have any power over you. You know what I mean? You can actually enjoy this drink and trust your palate and go with that experience of enjoying wine.
Okay. I like it. So when you say trust your palate, I know there's so many different words and ways to describe the texture, the taste, the smell, the viscosity, and anything of that nature. Like, how is it that one would know how to trust their palate, and that they're tasting actually what's being explained to them sometimes? Like, how do you do that?
So with the wine thing, the first thing you need to know is when you're tasting plums, there's no plums in wine. So it's usually a chemical reaction between the grape and the winemaking process. So there's no plums. So already you know that. That's why you must trust more in your own palate, because even if you say I taste a bee, no one's going to say you can't taste a bee, because there's no plums or bees in wine. So it's that whole thing of trusting your palate. And it helps though when you're in wine to try and eat as many different foods and actually taste food and taste your fruits, and then that's how you're able to pick up in a wine. Okay, this is more plum characters, but you won't know that unless you've had a plum. So it's also because I think the wine transcends the experience of just wine. So you need to actually know what you put in your body. So be excited about nature. Eat the food. enjoy your vegetables, but have some raw and actually know what a carrot tastes like in its natural state. Same with fruit.
Right.
And that's a relationship that you can form with wine when you eat things in its natural state and actually really experience them. Then you'll taste what a wine is or what flavors you should be eating with.
So you're saying broadening your palette of tasting foods and things in their natural state in general will help you better enjoy and describe wine.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So it's because nothing really exists in a vacuum. So wine's the same. It's the same. So you broaden the food that you eat every day, but just have it a bit more fresher and just explore a little bit more. And that's why wine also goes well with food, because you have to explore different foods and how they pair with different wines. And you're not going to do that if you're just going to eat food that's not fresh or trying out different things. So that's why wine always comes in pairings.
So with like keeping all that in mind, like what are the common misconceptions about wine tasting? Like, and teaching somebody or educating somebody rather about this wine over that wine, and what is the best wine to pair with the most appropriate food, dessert, that sort of thing.
So I think the biggest one, well, I think we're overcoming that one, is that white wine goes with white meat and red wine goes with red meat.
Okay.
Because it's not the same as it used to be 20 or 30 or 40 years ago. The wine industry grows just like any other industry. It's like an art industry. So how you made a Chardonnay 30 years ago is not the same way you're making a Chardonnay now. So you can actually make a Chardonnay and put it in wood and work with it. It's a piece of art. And work with it and you can actually have a Chardonnay with red meat, or you can have a Cabernet Sauvignon, which is with a Merlot blend, and you can have it with a salmon and cream and cream. And that's more your white meat, but it's also a red wine. So the misconception is that white goes with white meat and red goes with red meat. It's not the same anymore. There's been a lot of exploring in the wine industry, and people are making their wines differently. White wines are now made to age. Red wines are made for now. We're working with and how, okay, all I drink is Chardonnay, but I love my steak. So which Chardonnay can I find that will actually go well with the steak? Or which Pinot Noir would go well with the steak? As before, people would say, oh, no, man, a Pinot Noir would go better with a salmon or something pink. No, we're not there anymore. We're finding different ways and becoming more versatile in the winemaking process.
I think I was always there ahead of the game, mixing whatever I was eating with a gallon of wine, which just tells you what type of wine drinker I started to be, because nothing good comes in a gallon. But what do you do for someone who starts off with, maybe they have, here in America, fast food is everything, and they have a trash palate? How do you bring somebody and, kind of recycle or transform their palate?
Okay, you're very funny, né? Because you don't say people have a trash palate. So I don't know. So guys, I think just eat fresh food, my love.
She said, just for the love of God, eat fresh food.
If you at least if all you're gonna have is chicken wings, at least taste the chicken wings and at least make sure they actually put in spices or something. It's like I think that's also why wine became something that was called like a bourgeoisie. And I think it's also because bourgeoisie people could always be able to afford to eat properly. And then you found that like the lower class, or class-wise, would always, you eat what you have, right? So you go more for the oils and you go more for that. That's what you eat. Right? So that's why no wine paired with that. Because you weren't supposed to be drinking wine anyway.
Right.
But now we live in a world now where you can grow something at the backyard, I don't know how it is in America, but in South Africa you can kind of try to grow something. but it's also really about education. It kind of helps the process. It's like you should be eating better food anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know what you guys eat. I think jerk chicken also goes with wine, but I think it's gonna
Okay.
be but I think it would be more you're looking more towards Bordeaux blends and your Shiraz and your Rosé blend and that kind of
Okay.
stuff.
So, like, can I just throw this out there? So, one of my go-to wines is a Malbec. What would you recommend for someone who enjoys, Malbecs? Like, how to go about pairing that, and then explaining some of the different signatures that you'll find in the wine.
Okay, so Malbec, it's actually a French grape from Bordeaux, but it's usually planted in Argentina. So that's a grape. So a South African Malbec would be very different from a French one, and also one that's planted in Argentina. So in South Africa, our Malbec, depending on region. So if you go into Stellenbosch, Stellenbosch gets really hot. So it's still very new to South Africa, the Malbec, and South Africa's in the last 10 years have actually planted Malbec very successfully. Depending on which region. So if you're looking at more for Stellenbosch Malbec, you're going to find more your dark characters, and you're going to find it's more full bodied. So that would be something that will go more with your darker red meat. Your kudu, we call them like what you guys call an ostrich.
Ostrich.
Yeah,
I'm trying to say game. So it would go well with
like
game. That's the word
meat.
I was looking for.
Game meat.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that would be something that you will find in one of our wine region, which is Stellenbosch, which is more for hotter region. So you're getting the wines that are get more full-bodied and more pronounced dark flavors. Now, if you find a Malbec and it's coming from a cooling region, you're looking more at your red type of flavors, right? And then you're looking at one which goes from a medium body to a more heavier body. So with that kind of Malbec, you'll have something lighter, still meat, but maybe a carpaccio instead of food that's really like intensely cooked and heavy. Still red meat, but something a bit lighter. We will have in South Africa, we have biltong. I don't know if you guys know that, which is dried meat. And yeah, so Malbec would go depending on the region. Cooler regions, something a bit lighter, but within that red meat region.
Okay.
And maybe also your spicy chicken and that type of.
Okay.
But if you're looking at a very a cooler region, it's light.
Okay. Fair. So I mean, because like say like a bison would probably be okay, and then looking at maybe a rarer steak or something like that.
Yes. So you want because rare would go better with your lighter flavors because it's rare.
Okay.
You're not competing with any others characters, like you're not competing with the spices and all of that in the meat. It's actually it's in its natural state. So a rare would be much better for cooler regions Malbec.
Gotcha. Perfect. Look at that. I'm in the house now.
Okay.
I'm in the house.
So
I feel good.
So in South Africa, we mostly eat our steaks medium. We've got a joke. So we eat them medium or rare. And funny enough, only black people will say they want a steak and they want it well done. So in South Africa, we have something.
No, so not this black guy.
No. Oh no.
Oh no. Yeah, that's blasphemy.
In South Africa, we've got, I don't know if you guys have had it. It's called a biltong. So biltong is actually, it's dried meat, but it's really dry, right? It's not cooked or anything. It's dried meat. It's almost like a charcuterie.
Okay.
Right? and it's made, and it comes from white Afrikaans people, and they put all the spices. It's dried meat. They dry it. They put it in they dry it out for weeks, and it's really tasty. Yeah, so it's something that's you get the animal and you slice the meat. You slice, like you really slice, like almost like you're making ham, but you haven't cooked it. And then you put and then you cure it. Oh, it's cured meat. And you cure it and you cure it. You put all your spices, you put all your salt, and you allow it to lie. No cooking involved at all. And then it dries out. But then it keeps the flavor of the natural animal, but also all the spices. So we call it biltong. It's dry.
Mm-hmm.
So the joke was actually, when people in South Africa come and they want a full, not medium rare. They want to cook through. We go, actually, what you really want is biltong, because no steak should be cooked that much.
That's funny.
So what you do with steak, rare or medium rare? Yeah. So we barely have meat. We always have medium rare or rare steaks, depending on who you are.
That sounds like me. That's me. Medium right there, or a medium rare.
I'm more the medium guy, but rare. You guys gotta have to really. We gotta do some fine dining if you're gonna go in the rare route. I'm not opposed to it. Not opposed.
He's not opposed.
Just very fine high dining. I'm there.
Yeah.
We could talk
Shout
about
out
it.
to Michael Jordan's Steakhouse and STK as well. So
word up.
Yeah. Kel, where you at?
Well, let's talk, Don. You're an expert in wine. How does a som make money? I'm a money person. I know that
Hello, New York.
Yes, can you hear me? Doesn't have a lot of women in the industry, but can you tell the women especially how, if they wanted to, follow the route of becoming a wine expert, how does a wine expert make money after you get, the certificate, the approval from the governing body? Is it easy to make money, or is it always a constant grind, or do people run to you saying, please teach us more?
So with us, we don't have the male and female or really black and white thing within the sommelier industry. It's mostly dominated by white males. So that's changing. So you're finding there's still very few. Like you can't count 5 black sommeliers, but then you also can't count 5 white women sommeliers, if you get what I mean. Even whether you're a woman, it's a very male dominated industry. Well, you get paid like in any other profession. It pays well. You get hired by, it's only 5-star, 4.5-star and 5-star restaurants or hotels. And you would make money from the salary, because it's actually quite a respected position in most of the world. So you would make money from your salary, but also from commission. So because when you're a sommelier, you're always trying to find ways to please your clients. So you work with their budget. So some people, they want a particular wine, but their budget is at, let's say you guys would say $20. But some people love that wine, but their budget is $100. So you must always find a really good wine that will complement that meal at $100, or find a good wine that will complement that meal at $20. So that's commission though. So you would make commission on that wine, and people actually also tip. So in South Africa, there's a rise. Funny enough, in South Africa, the people who are now sommeliers who are black actually do not even come from South Africa. They're actually from our neighboring country, which is Zimbabwe. And a lot of them, and they're doing quite interesting things, because they're still sommeliers, but they're moving out. So they're doing exports now and importing wine and going out there, starting their own wine labels, because they're refugees. So I guess when they get here, they take every opportunity, So they study wine. So most of them actually don't drink, to be honest. They don't drink, most of them. And they will, they'll study wine, they'll get into it, and they'll be like, oh, okay, I've been given a chance to do great. And then they'll start their own companies and go into judging boards for wine, exporting wine, and just taking opportunities, you don't really find a lot of Black South African sommeliers. I just know of 2.
Okay. So I just want to, kind of try to clear up how the pay potentially works. So it would be the restaurant that would be hiring you to come in and deliver the service, and then likewise you can get commission on the bottles and tips as well. Okay. And now what about have you ever done like private hostings where someone's like, hey, I would like to have a wine tasting at my estate or my house or wherever, and I want to pay you to come and be the sommelier of the night and explain everything to my guests?
In South Africa, it's not a thing. So I started doing that because no one actually does it in South Africa. I think I'm a genius, Kellen. Because no one does it in South Africa, which is crazy. So then I started doing that. I'm like, invite me to your homes. Don't be intimidated. People get intimidated when people are. This is how I discovered actually the niche, and this is how I became a sommelier, because I wanted to find out what's missing in this industry. So the only way I'm going to find out what's missing in the industry is if I just become a sommelier instead of a winemaker. So I'll speak to people and get to know, okay, what you're thinking, how you're feeling. And then I realized a lot of people get really intimidated about not knowing wine at all, like really intimidated. Right. So I could say, oh, the tannin in this wine, it's much softer. And then I realized, oh, you don't understand tannin. But now you're not going to say to me, Dawn, what is a tannin? Or I could say it's full-bodied, but you're not going to ask me. So you'll say yes, but you're not going to ask me, but what does full-bodied mean? But the way that you speak about the wine, I'm like, oh, okay, they mean full-bodied, or they mean more fruit-driven, or they mean tannin. And I realized people don't want to be embarrassed around their guests because it's 5-star restaurants and hotels, so people don't want to seem like they don't belong there. And then when you go, I don't really understand what a tannin is, you sound like, oh, maybe you just got a little bit of more extra money. You're just nouveau rich. You know nothing, actually. So I feel like people feel like that, so they don't ask the questions. And that's how I came up with the thing of like, no, I'll come to your space. You can ask me, it's your space, your home. This is where you're the king and the queen of your own castle, and then you can ask me questions, and I'm happy to bring all the different wine estates and explain the wine, but it's within your own comfort. So that's what I started to do.
Okay, fair.
And funny enough, no one does it in South Africa.
Look at that. Okay, you just busting out of the shell. And now, because to me that seems like such a simple business concept, right? Like if people would have this service at a restaurant, why not at private dinner parties or things like that? Like it just seems like a natural thing. But that's interesting that it's not really something that's done, especially in South Africa. And now, how have you found that to be? Like, are people more comfortable in their own home when you do that? Like, are they asking the questions like, what does full body mean? What is a tannin and all this? Like, do they actually ask those questions still, or are you just explaining it more so without them having to ask?
So, Karen, you guys must remember, Mr. Robert, that you guys live in New York and you guys are progressive and you're always trying to find solutions and the world's your oyster and you're going out there. So Africa's kind of different. We're actually just starting out to learn that kind of stuff. I don't really give the people the opportunity. So I will explain. I'm like, oh, okay. So this is what full-bodied means. I'll say, oh, this wine's full-bodied, and this is what I mean by full-bodied, without making you look like you didn't know it before. But I'll just explain it anyway. I also find people are very comfortable in their own spaces as well. It's not intimidating in your own space, but for some people, a restaurant which is a 5-star is intimidating. Already you're looking at knives that are set up in a different way, and you're like, okay, there's 3 knives in front of me, but I usually just use one. So which one is this one that's facing that way? Why is that one facing that way? So already the whole environment I find is very intimidating for a lot of people, from the hostess at the door, from the way that you're seated, from being called ma'am, from having to pronounce French names when it comes to food and that stuff. So you're already intimidated, and you're like, all I want to do right now is just drink this wine, and I don't want to have to pronounce Pionnier and Cabernet Franc and Bordeaux blend
Mhm.
and Rhone style. So it's that space. Then in a home space, it's your castle. So in that
Mhm.
space, you can have conversations. You can go to the balcony. We can talk more about the wine. You can come inside, and also as a sommelier, you should be able to read people.
Mhm.
So when you are speaking about wine, you can tell, oh, okay, I don't think this one understands this about this wine, or you can tell from faces because you can tell when you're having the conversation. Oh, okay,
Mhm.
I get what you mean because I experienced this in this wine. When you're not getting any of that, it means they don't understand what you're talking about, and not necessarily because they don't understand what you're talking about. Because people can always describe their wines, they just don't
Right.
know how to. They don't relate
They
their
don't use
understanding
the
to the term.
yeah. Right. They don't have like the the glossary of words that are like this is what you could use to describe that, that burnt taste that
Yes.
you actually get. Like this is how you describe that. And I want to draw a quick reference because Kellen and I were watching a movie on Psalms, and when we watched there was a guy that was going to pass his test or something, and he was tasting a wine, and Kellen, what did he say? It was like he tasted
fresh cut hose. It tastes like
yes,
fresh cut, and he's
hose,
talking about the garden hose.
like a garden hose. And I'm like, where did this man eat fresh cut garden hose? Where did he taste that before?
Mm.
That's part of his wine description for this. Like, is that something that you would ever use to describe a wine? Like a fresh cut rubber garden hose is what this kind of tastes like.
I'd go for green. I'd go for maybe fresh grass or watery. Yeah.
Some of
But
the
not I
descriptions
wouldn't
are
go
just
for
funny.
hose. But then I'd also have to go back and actually smell the hose and oh, this is what you mean. That's what there is actually a thing in wine where it actually does smell like a hose, but we just don't say it
Wow.
smells like a garden hose.
Right.
Come on, because we try to keep it tidy. So
Right.
somebody
Okay.
is not.
I just thought that description. I remember that description and going and Kel and I looking at each other, and just like, did this man just say fresh cut garden hose? Like in an appealing, like it was an appealing thing, because most people would hear that and then be like, I don't think I want to taste that. But he was
And why
lapping
is
it
it
up.
cut? Why?
Yeah, I just found that interesting. So, what is the weirdest thing that you've ever said to describe a wine?
No, I don't say weird things to describe anything. I can tell you the weirdest thing I've heard, but not.
Okay, let's go with that.
So I did a tasting, and it was a Sauvignon Blanc. So I was saying, oh, this one's more for your more fresh, more tropical fruits, but with hints of apple. And then after I did the tasting, everyone was like, this one person at the table stands up, waits for me to leave, and follows me and says, I'm sorry, but I'm allergic to apples. And there's apple in that one. Those kind of things.
Yeah,
See?
you're like, there's no apple.
I'm like, no, honey, it's okay. But at that point, it wasn't like, it was kind of funny, but it wasn't, because then I realized, oh, like a lot of people do not know what you're saying when you're talking about wine.
Right.
Even though you say the flavors, they think, oh my word, I'm allergic to apples. There's no way you're going to give me apple in my wine, kind of thing.
Yep. Sometimes they confuse the flavors.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was a weird one, and it happened more than once. There was one that had peachy flavors, and then it wasn't peach. I think it was more your floral flavors. This person says she's got sinuses. She suffers from sinuses, so flowers are not the best thing for her right now, so she can't drink the wine. Then I was like, no, my love, there's no flowers in this wine. So drink it. It's just the chemical reaction when you're making the wine that actually gives you those flavors. It's kind of sweet, even though it's really. I must be honest, it's very fun.
And so now, what's your least favorite flavor in a wine? what's the flavor that whenever you come across it in a wine, you're like, oh, not this one?
It's always a Chardonnay for me, and because it always tastes like pea. Sorry. So,
Okay.
and it's got that pea taste that I can't stand, and that smell. And well, I'll expand. So I've never liked Chardonnay because of that. Whenever I taste the wine, that's how I always know, like, I'll pass my exams well, because I know, okay, there's a Chardonnay, because I hate it. It smells like pea and whatever, and that's a Chardonnay. And I also can't stand all that wood in a white wine. I'm like, just come on your own. Don't bring all the wood and whatever.
Right.
So that I realized I wasn't alone, because then the New World, which is mostly Australia and New Zealand and South Africa, they're starting making Chardonnay, but instead of putting it in wood and having all that wood and that pea flavor, they're starting using older barrels, and that's just to soften. So when you're tasting the Chardonnay, you're still getting a lot of fruit and a lot of freshness. So when I didn't like Chardonnay because I didn't like the traditional style of Chardonnay.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, I know for me, I wonder about, like, sometimes I hear like a soapiness described, or just like super, super dry. Now, how do you feel about, like, is soap a common kind of undertone of like Chardonnays too, or how does that work?
And maybe my pea is your soap. So it could be it's that usually Chardonnays will have that, and also more your battery. More your battery type of flavors.
Okay.
And then I guess soap is also made from that oil, so that's why you probably pick up
like a soapier, yeah. Okay, fair. See, I get in there a little bit. I'm definitely not at your level, but I want to be. And I mean, I think I want to have a party with you, because you sound like a lot of fun when it comes to your description.
Come to South Africa.
Right. That's the next move, Cal, right?
Come on.
Definitely.
Yeah. You want to round out? Any
well, you know what? I want
to.
Well, yeah. I want to end. I don't know, end it, but I want to make sure we put in there. Don has this vision, and this might be, Don, the part of the interview that you get our advice, because she wants to do an app, and we were talking about you, Don, and this app, and how, I've been pushing a website for the longest. I've known Don like probably a year now. And she's like, I don't want a website. I want an app. And I'm like, but something is better than nothing, and you can always build up, and it's almost the same thing. So I'm going to let the guys, because this is what they're experts in this.
This is our expertise.
This is all they do, and give their opinion on what they think you should do, because this is part of my building bridges thing of having us come to Africa, but we need to come with a business mentality, and we need to partner with people that are already there, because we don't know everything, unlike most Americans think. And so we need to partner with people who are already there and bring our expertise and merge your expertise, and we can all have business babies and, on that way to real wealth. So I'm going to let them, and please, Don, if you have a question after they speak, let it be known. But I want to, get that insight.
So I guess I'll kick it off with the leap from, nothing to app. I mean, a lot of people have done it, but one of my big suggestions would be to make it easy to convert, because getting someone to a website is far easier than downloading an app. And also, if you're new to the space of handling tech, you're going to want to feel your way around certain things, and a website will allow you some of that freedom to learn the platforms, right? So I would say you should go small scale site, you know what I mean? Having your selects for the month, or picks for the month, or any information like that online, and use the site for that to build up and see what your traffic is like, see what people are actually clamoring for, what they're paying attention to, because it's far less expensive to have a website than to go full on app and then find out that you actually don't convert that well, and now you've spent all this money on an app. that you now have to figure out how to market better, which is it's an expense as well. You know what I mean? So I would say small scale site, which is something when I first saw you, I like fell in love with the concept of you, not the everything that comes with it, but I was like, wow, she seems passionate about what she does. She loves it. She looks good doing it. I was like, Kel, why doesn't Dawn have a site? Why doesn't she have a site where I can go and I can look at her pics, her descriptions of them, and really get involved and figure out what I'm going to purchase. What's my next bottle or case purchase going to be? And he was like, I've been telling her, man. And I'm like, oh, I was almost heartbroken. And I told him, I was like, I want to build a site for her. Like, I want to do that. Like, so let's figure out how we do that. But that's my kind of 2 cents on it. I know AL had some other thoughts, but I don't know if you have any questions on that, or what's held you back at all from that. I know you want to app, but like, is there a reason why you haven't moved on that?
Thank you for the advice very much.
Yeah.
So I decided to do a WordPress, and someone's designing a landing page for me. Then I chose WordPress because with WordPress I can write a few things too. And it's that thing that you're saying, it's not very easy to manage a website. So I don't want to have 20 pages to manage. And that's because then I don't want to say I want to give you this and not. So I don't want you to get there. It's like, oh no, this page is down, that's down, that's down. It turns people off. And I also want to be very realistic with what I can do at this point. Tomorrow's another day, but like right now at this point. So I'm doing a landing page, and that's going to be linked to my Instagram and just wine stories. And I'm also inviting a lot of people around South Africa who love wine, and they're not necessarily in the wine industry, but I want them to share their stories in my blog of the experience of wine and why they love this wine. And so the app was on hold because I realized an app is actually a lot of work. So having the blog and doing the landing page and managing that with an Instagram page and a Facebook page and a Twitter account is practice. Growing step by step.
Right. Perfect.
Yeah.
I think you'll find WordPress a lot less daunting than what it may seem like at the beginning too. Because I will say I'm very proud to hear that, happy to hear that, because man, was I on Kel about that. But I'm excited to see it, and I'm more excited to see where you end up in a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now on that side of it, because I feel like your reach should be so much greater. Not saying that you don't have great reach in South Africa, but it can be so much greater than just South Africa. It starts at home, but there's no reason why Dawn can't be worldwide and really impact the industry on a huge level. That's my piece.
That's so kind. You sound like my ancestors. My ancestors always come and say that. Then Kellen said that, and Kellen was like, Dawn, why can't you just think international? Why? Kellen said, you must always limit yourself to South Africa. You live in an international village, so think international and do international.
Yeah.
That's why my site is going to be .com. So it's like, just expand. You're not limited to South Africa. Which I really thought about that. So I keep telling people all the time. Kellen said to me, I must not think local. I must be an international. I'm star already. Get my riches. Not in money, if you know what I mean. But I must go out there. I'm international already. So yeah, everyone knows Kellen by now, my friends.
Yes.
I'm like, no, Kellen gave me that advice. Kellen's like, why must you always limit yourself to South Africa? Be international. So when people have their own dreams, I go, but why are you limiting? Even though I haven't acted on it, but why are you limiting yourself to just South Africa? Go international, my darling. You live in an international village. So, but guys, I feel the same way about like African Americans. I feel like, oh my word, if I was an American and I lived in America and I was earning dollars, I would be a millionaire simply by investing in South Africa, because there's no country where you could just invest and you are a millionaire in like 2-3 years. Do you get what I mean? There's something African Americans that they have and South Africans don't have, or Africans don't have. They've got, I don't know, like people can say that you guys, that's just stereotyping though. That but you live in a space where it's like a creative space all the time. And I was reading a lot about African Americans and like how they a lot of inventions. And there's a lot of African Americans who actually invented stuff. And I'm like, and a lot of inventions in the world actually came from America, whether they were the colonizers of America or the African Americans. But it comes from America, and you guys have that. And I'm like, you don't have to invest in America. You can invest in Africa without even living in Africa. Like South Africa right now, they take on so much American culture that it's even easier to invest in South Africa because we go, oh, Starbucks. Oh my God, that looks so cool. You get what I mean? And we don't have those things. And imagine as an African American, 10 of you get together and you open a Starbucks, because I promise you, South Africa will be like, yeah, we finally got Starbucks, because we all think we live in a reality show.
Right.
And then, so it's like you have this in South Africa already. We don't have much in South Africa. We're quite bored, to be honest. That's why we watch Kardashians all the time. We are so bored. And we love African Americans and we think they're the coolest thing ever. And African Americans must come here and just start a Walmart. You don't have to call it Walmart, you can call it something else.
Right.
You know what I mean? But people love that American experience. And I also think because it's that America was seen as the land of opportunity, but in a way, even though you guys have your own issues, you've carried that kind of dream. And South Africa is the land of opportunity, but not a lot of South Africans realize that. And that's why we have a lot of foreign people. We have a lot of people coming from Zim and all like countries where it's not great to live there. They're getting killed and all of that, and they come here and they make their dreams happen. You know, it's just that we don't hate them. They are brothers, you know, because they did the same for us when we were in trouble. So, and then they're able to walk into this country and say, "Oh my word, there's so much opportunity." So they take it head on. Now imagine as African Americans with dollars, with the support in America, what you would be able to do for Americans in South Africa. Because surely we are tired of being colonized now by Germans and the Europeans. So let's rather be colonized by our brothers and our sisters. You get what I mean?
I do get what you mean.
That's promising. That's very promising.
That's very promising.
Let me get my dollars together.
Right.
Get them together. Start with $1,000. That's a lot of money.
All right, there you go. All right.
So now
that's fair. That's fair enough.
And I'll go back. So we got the site is coming, so that's great. And AL, I remember you did say something regarding like jumping from web to app or web app. And I don't know if you want to just enlighten on that really quickly.
Yeah, I can speak a little. I can speak a little bit on it. Like prior to getting clients involved on the web side of things, is to first get them to understand content. And as long as he or she can get comfortable and connect with two major tenets, because like these two major things pretty much translate across the board, whether it's your website or whether it's social media. As long as he or she can get comfortable and acclimated to creating content consistently and frequently, the mind will then allow them to adapt creating content on their website and then creating content on their website and their social media conjointly. And then from there, once there's that familiarity, it then now prepares the mind. Okay, now I can do this. I can do this quite well on social media. Maybe it's now time for me to do what I need to do on my website. And then from my website, how do I expand beyond that? And then the conversation then becomes, where is that client's budget? The website can get as robust as it as it needs to be. Likewise, the app. And when you're looking at apps, you're looking at a couple of different variations. You're looking at web apps. You're looking at variations of native apps. And one platform that I recommend, and I just got refamiliarized with it a couple of days ago. There's this platform called Mag Plus, which allows people to have the feel of an application, but it allows the content creator to give the viewer the feel of a magazine or interactive magazine. So I'm listening to you and like your knowledge and your expertise. Something like a Mag Plus platform would be phenomenal for someone like yourself, and like giving that experience to people that are interested in wine or learning more about wine or what they can do with wine, that sort of thing.
Nice.
Yeah. And I just sent that to you, Don. So you have Mag Plus in your WhatsApp, whatnot, because I could see and that's why I always bother you. I can see drink wine, stay fit and fabulous, and people would believe it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, because I've noticed something about the people who drink wine. They look better than people who drink beer. They look better than,
That is true. Yeah, I'll give that. But yeah, so I guess that would be a good wrap point right now, and we'll tie up there. And Dawn, definitely want to thank you for coming on and sharing your knowledge, giving some insight into not just wine, but into South Africa. And I can't wait to see you go international, and hopefully we're a part of it. So thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. And what do you mean, hopefully? You are a part of it already. You've already signed the contract, Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate all the advice. I'm actually really not just going to think about it, but actually put it into action. So, really, thank you very much.
All right.
And you'll see my work, and I'll see yours. And then in South Africa, we go, I would say, Ayabulela Omvulani, which is my clan name. So Mvulani means you never, Mvulani is my clan name, which is where my heritage comes from. Okay. And it means rain. So rain means blessings. So when I say Ayabulela Mvulani, I'm like, they are grateful because they send angels all the time, and you guys were the angels today. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, everyone. Peace.
So I think this is a good place to stop our dialogue for this episode and allow you, the listeners, to join the conversation and keep the dialogue going with us online.
You can do so by visiting our social media at Facebook, Diversified Game Podcast, on Instagram and Twitter, Game Diversified, online, diversifiedgame.com. In your life with the people around you, or join our Patreon and get some nice perks for being involved.
If you found a nugget and or liked today's episode, you might as well leave a review. And if you leave a review, you might as well share it. If you share it, you might as well subscribe. And as always, thanks for your support.
Thanks for getting in the game and listening to the Diversified Game Podcast with Kellen, Tyson, and AL. The #1 show pairing entrepreneurship with diverse and inclusive perspectives like wine and cheese, bagel and lox, fish and grits. Be sure to visit diversifiedgame.com for all the good stuff. Join in the conversation and discover more content.